All right.
back.
Now we're going into the medical part of numbers, according to Dr. Michael. And so, who would like to start tonight? Ruth? How about Ruth?
I will if you'd like me to. I'm just going to make this a little bigger. Okay, good. The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron and say to him, when you mount the lamps, let the 7 lamps give light at the front of the lampstand." Aaron did so. He mounted the lamps at the front of the lampstand as the Eternal had commanded Moses. Now this is how the lampstand was made. It was hammered work of gold, hammered from base to pedal, according to the pattern that the Eternal had shown Moses. So was the lampstand made. The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, "Take the Levites from among the Israelites and purify them. This is what you shall do to them, to purify them. Sprinkle on them water of purification, and let them go over their whole body with a razor, and wash their clothes. Thus they shall be purified. Let them take a bull of the herd, and with it a meal offering of choice flour, with oil mixed in, and you take a second bull of the herd for a purgation offering. You shall bring the Levites forward before the tent of meeting. Assemble the..."
Okay, if we can hold on in here for a second, I don't know whether everybody knows that. If you take a look at what it says, sprinkle on them water of purification, and let them go over their whole body with a razor.
I know, I noticed that.
The Levites had to shave their entire body.
Even though it wasn't the Nazarites, it wasn't, yeah.
No, these are not the Nazarites. The Nazarites wouldn't do it. Do you remember all the Nazarites?
Right, we went over that already, yeah.
Okay, Michael, what would the razor have looked like back then?
Probably like a very sharp knife.
Just this knife, yeah.
So a very
Long.
special, yeah. And in fact, because of the fact that steel was, hadn't been, was not going to be developed for hundreds and hundreds of years afterwards, what they would use was stone. They would take very, very hard stone. They would make a blade out of it, and that's what they would use. It was called flint. And in fact, the circumcision was done with flint stone.
Yeah, well, actually, don't they sharpen things? I think they sharpen knives still like that today.
Yes, they still do. So,
Well, isn't that how you start a fire, by rubbing those flints together?
no.
Flint
Well,
is.
When you start a fire outside.
I do believe we have a geologist here on our team, Dr. Weiner.
And I'm going digging this weekend.
Well,
And we'll talk about that later.
okay.
That reminds me, didn't they use shells too as razor kind of things?
I don't know.
There must be some shells that if the Indians probably used them
but they used
around them.
First of all, they used water because the water helped them shave. And then the second part, shaving cream is all about water, is just to get as much water to shave. But flint is a very sharp material. And if you can even find it that way, or you hit it with a hammer or a rock, and it will be razor sharp. And you can. And now, as far as starting fires, if you hit flint with steel, which are iron, well, iron was probably is found by now, iron ore, but I'm not sure it was if there was any there in the desert, but you hit the flint and it sparks, and that's how you do make fire. But the flint is very, very sharp, and I have dug some flint, found it, and it's very sharp stuff, very sharp. But yeah,
Did they have
that
safety razor? Did they have Band-Aids ready for people who were shaving themselves?
Yes,
No, Ed Johnson & Johnson hadn't started yet.
Yeah.
No, but I could visualize a lot of people hurting.
Yeah, but I could tell you if they did cut themselves, they had sand, and all they needed is to put the sand on it, which is a desiccant, and the sand would stop the bleeding. Remember styptic pencils?
Okay, and
Yes.
Ed, okay, I didn't know about the sand, but I got another one that I'm pretty sure all of you know. What was the substance that was used whenever you had a skin injury to prevent it from getting infected?
Honey,
Salt.
Honey.
honey. I
Honey.
said it because honey's the only food that never ever gets bad ever. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
It's
Or
never
salt. Salt would hurt, but it would sure shut it. It would
Yeah.
cause it
Yeah,
to.
but honey is a healing property in honey. It can help you with so many things.
But it's not a vasoconstrictor.
Whoa.
No.
So
Right,
what did
well,
they use
They
besides
could have.
sand?
They could have just
Yeah.
used sand, a salt, even
But
though
wouldn't
salt
that
would hurt.
Wouldn't that hurt? It's rough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it would.
But they
it would.
were tough in those days, Myrna.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember what alum is? Do you remember going way
Maybe.
back? Maybe your father used alum when he cut himself
Yeah,
shaving. A
Right.
pinch of alum.
yeah.
I
And
just remember little pieces of toilet tissue all over my father's
well, it
face.
was just Myrna. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely. What did that do? It
Stop the
absorbed.
bleeding.
It stopped
Stop
the bleeding.
right?
It dried it out, Myrna.
So you've
Nice.
seen that before, I assume.
I still use alum. It's hard to find. Is that aluminum sulfate, Michael?
Yes, it is. And actually, it's a mixture of aluminum sulfate and aluminum oxide.
Okay.
Okay, so
Incredible.
wait a minute.
Symbol.
Mike, I think we have to go back
Yeah.
further than
Assemble the.
assemble. Okay, you shall. Oops. Assemble the Israel. Whoops.
I'm sorry.
You keep on moving. Okay. So you shall bring the Levites forward before the tent of meeting. Assemble the Israelite community leadership, and bring the Levites forward before the Eternal. Let the Israelites lay their hands upon the Levites, and let Aaron designate the Levites before the Eternal as an elevation offering from the Israelites, that they may perform the service of the Eternal. The Levites shall now lay their hands upon the heads of the bulls. One shall be offered to the Eternal as a purgation offering, and the other as a burnt offering to make expiation for the Levites. You shall place the Levites in attendance upon Aaron and his sons, and designate them as an elevation offering to the Eternal. Thus you shall set the Levites apart from the Israelites, and the Levites shall be mine. Thereafter the Levites shall be qualified for the service of the tent of meeting, once you have purified them and designated them as an elevation offering. For they are formally assigned to me from among the Israelites. I have taken them from myself in place of all the first issue of the womb, of all the male firstborn of the Israelites. For every male firstborn among the Israelites, human as well as beast, is mine. I consecrated them to myself at the time that I smote every male firstborn in the land of Egypt. Now I take the Levites instead of every male firstborn of the Israelites. And from among the Israelites, I formally assign the Levites to Aaron and his sons to perform the service for the Israelites in the tent of meeting, and to make expiation for the Israelites, so that no plague may afflict the Israelites for coming too near the sanctuary. Well, that's interesting. But before we go on, that's interesting. I mean, he's being careful so that they don't get a plague. But in the past, if people did something wrong, they did get, like, they died or something. Or so I find that interesting that all of a sudden he's now making it a little bit better for us. He's saying that no plague may afflict the Israelites for coming too near the sanctuary. In the past, if you did come too near the sanctuary, you died.
I'm beginning to think it might be better to be an Israelite than one of the others, because nothing is expected of them.
Well, that's
The
not
others
true.
have their duties.
Well, there's things that they're required to do, but in this specific parsha, they're talking about what the priests are being designated to do.
Mhm. Yeah,
Right.
you'll notice that it seems to me
Right.
that there's so many rules for the priests, whereas I mean,
Right.
we don't hear how they train for battle, but I'm sure that there was a lot of rules for that too.
Right. Okay, so Moses, Aaron, and the Israelite community leadership did with the Levites accordingly, just as the Eternal had commanded Moses in regard to the Levites, so that the Israelites did with them. The Levites purified themselves and washed their clothes, and Aaron designated them as an elevation offering before the Eternal, and Aaron made expiation for them to purify them. Thereafter, the Levites were qualified to perform their service in the tent of meeting under Aaron and his sons, as the Eternal had commanded Moses in regard to the Levites, so they did to them.
Is anything expected of the Levites now? You know, in today's world, do they have
No.
certain?
No, this is
No.
way back then.
I know that, but I mean, did anything get passed down that they're obligated to do?
Okay.
But the Kohanes kind of.
No, the very few things, because remember that now we don't do animal sacrifices anymore.
Right.
So this was getting them ready to do the sacrifices. So all of that is essentially past.
And medically, if they're doing the sacrifices, they're touching the animals,
Mhm.
and if they have no hair, they can't get lice.
Oh, for goodness sake, that's interesting. So there's a reason for that.
There's a reason, and then they can't, since it's the Levites who would communicate and take part in ritual with the Israelites. They can't spread lice either. So this again is very important. This is an understanding that hair can foster parasites, and you don't want that if they're gonna interact, is the word I was looking for, with the Israelites. They want to make sure that this is a public health issue. So this is a really important situation here.
And only you would know
And
that.
it's like in boot camp in the military, like when because you're in close quarters, like when you're, in the barracks site, when you get to boot camp, you have to,
Yep.
right?
Take the razor. Yep.
Right.
And so they didn't have beards either, right? I always think of these priests as having beards, and because there was another part where they said don't shave the beard, but that was.
You mean the census that came, the payas rather, that came down here?
Yeah, and don't.
Well, the payas is a modern situation.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's from Hasidim. The Hasidim made it more accentuated. Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Thanks,
Where
Ruth.
Okay.
You want to take a break, Ruth? Is that
No, I don't mind. I don't mind
Okay.
reading them. Okay.
Why don't you go to 9 and then we'll. Yeah.
Okay. The Eternal One spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai on the first new moon of the second year.
I'm sorry, we're up on the top. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I went down too far. Okay. The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, "This is the rule of the Levites. From 25 years of age up, they shall participate in the workforce in the service of the tent of meeting. But at the age of 50, they shall retire from the workforce and shall serve no more." That sounds good. "They may assist their brother Levites at the tent of meeting by standing guard, but they shall perform no labor. Thus you shall deal with the Levites in regard to their duties." I'm surprised that most of them live to 50. But anyways, that's another whole thing.
So it sounds like they never retire.
Yeah, okay. The Eternal One spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai on the first new moon of the second year, following the exodus from the land of Egypt, saying,
Ruth, hold on
Yeah.
just a second, because this is something important.
Okay.
This is on the first new moon of the second year. One of the things that we need to understand is that all of these things that we have been reading from the book of Exodus, from the book of Leviticus, and now the book of Numbers, all of this is only covered 1 year. So this is the second Passover.
Wow. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, we're ready for Passover now. Okay. The Eternal One spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai on the first new moon of the second year, following the exodus from the land of Egypt, saying, "Let the Israelite people offer the Passover sacrifice at its set time. You shall offer it on the 14th day of this month at twilight at..." its set time. You shall offer it in accordance with all its rules and rites. Moses instructed the Israelites to offer the Passover sacrifice, and they offered the Passover sacrifice in the first month on the 14th day of the month at twilight in the wilderness of Sinai, just as the Eternal had commanded Moses, so the Israelites did. It's very good. So, and we still follow that time today. It's very, very interesting. But there were some householders who were impure by reason of a corpse and could not offer the Passover sacrifice on that day. Appearing that same day before Moses and Aaron, those householders said to them, impure though we are by reason of a corpse, why must we be debarred from presenting the Eternal's offering at its set time with the rest of the Israelites? Moses said to them, stand by and let me hear what instructions the Eternal gives about you.
Okay, so Ruth, one
Yeah.
other little bit in here. Okay, so during the Passover, the big thing was to offer a sacrifice on the first night. Now, ever since we lost the second temple, we haven't done it. However, in Israel, there is a group that is still doing it. What is the name of that group?
Oh, I forgot. The Druze? No.
No.
No, not the
Close.
Druze.
The Haredi.
No, no.
I
the-
know, but I'm very into that lately. With
Okay, so what was it?
just a,
The Samaritans.
Oh, the Samaritans. Yes, I forgot. Yes, you're
would
right.
never have thought about that.
I forgot about that. You're right.
So in Israel, in the land of Israel, and actually they've been doing it for 2,000 years. They never stopped because they never
Yeah.
went into exile. So on the first night of Passover, there's a big winding that they do because it is the sacrifice that we used to do when we had the temple.
And what's their sacrifice? What do they sacrifice?
Okay, sheep.
Oh, sheep. Okay, I didn't know if it was the. Okay, yeah, okay,
And
that's the
lamb.
one. Okay.
And they
And-
still actually do that physical.
Oh, as a matter of
Sacrifice.
fact, it's a big thing. So if you go to YouTube, you're going to find all kinds of things about what they do because, every year, except for this year, because of the COVID thing and all that. Oh, but it's a big thing. So look up the Samaritans and going to Mount Gerizim for the first night of Passover. They've been doing it for over 2,000 years.
That's
So
pretty
do
cool.
they eat that one that night or
Yes.
not?
Yes, they do.
They do. He's saying they do keep it.
It's exactly what we used to do.
Right.
No, it could just be a sacrifice. I didn't know they actually
No,
made like a feast
because
out of it.
Well, that's why I asked, and he just
No.
said it was the lamb. Yeah,
No,
the
no,
sheep. I'm sorry, the sheep.
It's a big barbecue.
Yeah, I get.
I
Okay.
decided if I were ever to come back as an animal, I would not be a sheep. I would not be anything that could be sacrificed like a bull. If I had my druthers.
Oh, you're so funny. All right, where did I end off? I'm losing myself.
I
now.
believe Moses was going to go to God and get instructions.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's going
so-
to get the instructions for the people that had the impurity. Okay. And the Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Israelite people, saying, when any of you or your posterity who are defiled by a corpse or on a long journey would offer a Passover sacrifice to the Eternal, they shall offer it in the second month on the 14th day of the month at twilight. They shall eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs, and they shall not leave any of it over until morning. They shall not break a bone of it. They shall offer it in strict accord with the law of the Passover sacrifice. But if a householder who is pure and not on a journey refrains from offering the Passover sacrifice, that person shall be cut off from his kin, for the Eternal's offering was not presented at its set time. That householder shall bear the guilt. Whoa, he's being very strict. And when a stranger who resides with you would offer a Passover sacrifice to the Eternal, it must be offered in accordance with the rules and rites of the Passover sacrifice. There shall be one law for you, whether stranger or citizen of the country. Well, that's pretty clear. Okay.
So then they
On-
would just wait. So if somebody was defiled by a corpse, they would just wait for the next month. Is that what I'm reading here?
It looked like the next day.
The next day, Michael.
There was the next day,
day.
not the next
Oh.
month. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
Say
they
the
bury
next
the
month.
corpse
It says the
that-
next month, doesn't it?
I thought it was
No, I
the
thought it
second
said
month.
the next day.
Hold on one
No,
second.
go right back, right before.
Yeah, because it said they shall
They
offer
shall
in the
offer it in
second
the
month.
second month.
Oh, okay.
On the
I don't know
14th
where I
day.
got second day. I don't know.
Passover is the
The
14th
first
of the
month.
first month.
Oh, okay.
Up there. Okay.
Oh, okay. I
So
made
they
a
have to wait.
mistake.
So again, probably it goes back to these medical terms, right? If you have a disease from the corpse, somehow after a month, quarenta, 40 days or whatnot, could be.
right.
How about if Cynthia, Ruth? Thank you
Okay.
so much for reading. I appreciate it. Yeah.
No problem.
Cynthia, how about do you want to read tonight, Cynthia? You muted still. Hold on.
Till I begin now, 14 or 15 was it?
I believe we're at 15. We're at 15.
On the day that the tabernacle was set up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, the tent of the pact, and in the evening it rested over the tabernacle in the likeness of fire until morning. It was always so. The cloud covered it, appearing as fire by night. And whenever the cloud lifted from the tent, the Israelites would set out accordingly, and at the spot where the cloud settled, there the Israelites would make camp. At a command of the Eternal, the Israelites broke camp, and at a command of the Eternal, they made camp. They remained encamped as long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle. When the cloud lingered over the tabernacle many days, the Israelites observed the Eternal's mandate and did not journey on. At such times as the cloud rested over the tabernacle for but a few days, they remained encamped at a command of the Eternal, and broke command at a command of the Eternal. And at such times as the cloud stayed from evening until morning, they broke camp as soon as the cloud lifted in the morning. Day or night, whenever the cloud lifted, they would break camp. Whether it was 2 days or a month or a year, however long the cloud lingered over the tabernacle, the Israelites remained in camp and did not set out. Only when it lifted, they break camp. On a sign from the Eternal, they made camp, and on a sign from the Eternal, they broke camp. They observed the Eternal's mandate at the Eternal's bidding through Moses.
Isn't this just a wonderful thought? Like, don't you feel like they're so taken care of? Like
Yeah.
they're so cared for. It's like, here's the cloud. Stay with the cloud. You'll be
The
protected.
thing that puzzles me is they'd even go as far as a year.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they were there for 40 years, right? So, I mean, well, they didn't start out thinking they were going to be there for 40 years. But yeah, they could.
But they didn't have a GPS.
It's
So if
great.
I feel cloudy, that's not just my mind all messed up. It just means that God's watching over me. I feel a lot better now.
Hallelujah. All right, Cynthia.
Okay. The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, "Have 2 silver trumpets made. Make them of hammered work. They shall serve you to summon military bodies of the community and to set the divisions in motion. When both are blown in long blasts, the whole company of fighters shall assemble before you at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And if only one is blown, the chieftains, heads of Israel's contingent, shall assemble before you. But when you sound short blasts, the divisions encamped on the east shall move forward. And when you sound short blasts the second time, those encamped on the south shall move forward. Thus, short blasts shall be blown for setting them in motion. While to convoke military bodies of the congregation, you shall blow long blasts, not short ones."
Well, can you just
Trump-
stop there for a sec? Can you just stop there for a minute? This is something that interests me. They said that they built these little trumpets, but I always thought it was like the shofar. So I'm a little confused here.
Yeah, I show.
Were these, oh, they were shofar. There wasn't a trumpet. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a shofar.
Yeah, and as a matter of
No,
fact,
in this case, they talked about silver.
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah,
said
so
metal.
that's why I'm
Handmade.
confused. This isn't a shofar.
2 silver trumpets. There it is.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a shofar.
Hammered work.
All these times I thought it was a shofar. That
But it's
really
only for the
surprised me.
military part, right? Let's see. The trumpets. I'm just going to read down here on 10:2.
Okay.
The trumpets their sound supplemented the visible sign of the cloud. They were about 3 to 4 feet long, straight
That's
with
long.
flaring ends. Right. This is like almost like a trombone without
Jeez,
the
yeah.
trombone.
No, it's like
part.
one of those big long trumpets they do in the evil days, you know.
Oh yeah, medieval, right. A reproduction may be seen on the Arch of Titus in Rome.
Mm.
Oh, and on a
Oh,
coin from
wow.
Barcoba's time. Such trumpets
Wow.
were for centuries used in St. Peter's Basilica at papal masses.
Wow. So
Yeah.
this wasn't a shofar. Fascinating.
Mm.
Well, I don't think that they made much of a distinction among musical instruments, especially. So to them, whether it was something that was made or came from an animal form, from their point of view, it was a trumpet, and that's how it is
Yeah,
translated.
but they just said it was from silver, Mike. So it couldn't have-
In other words, so whether it was man-made from silver,
yeah,
or whether it came from the horn of an animal,
yeah.
sound that they made was approximately the same, and that's
Oh, okay. But I'm just saying, I never even knew they had those type of silver instruments in that day. That's what I was talking about.
I just found something and I have a question related to it.
Okay.
Okay, so the Chumash I use, it does say silver trumpets, not shofar, but it mentions tekiah and teruah,
yeah.
which are the sounds you make with the shofar, and it says when to use one and when to use the other, or a combination of both.
Oh,
And yet-
int-
With the trumpets. So this is something to think about.
so it makes the
Because-
same noises as we do for when we do the truah and the
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's
Tekiah, no.
really
But the tonal
Involved.
quality would be different, though.
right. Then the combination of the tekiah and the teruah related to putting the military bands together,
I
the
see.
men.
Interesting.
Yes, it
So how
is.
did they polish their silver?
Oh,
They use sand?
Myrna, don't worry about that.
No, I find it interesting. Maybe they had. a
They
way-
use that barkeeper's friend, right? Barkeeper's friend. And they-
Actually, they could use wine.
Really?
Why not? It's an antioxidant, right, Michael?
Why waste it?
Ed, you got me on that one.
Wine is alcohol. It's an antioxidant, and if you let the wine become vinegar by letting it ferment a little longer than you should, it's vinegar, and vinegar is an antioxidant.
But doesn't the purple part of the wine get stained? I mean,
No,
no.
try it.
I'll have to try it.
No, try putting
to try
vinegar
it.
on.
I'm going to pull out all my trumpets. I'm going to try it tonight.
That's right. I got my shofar.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna clean my
on
shofar.
something that you don't like. Just in case it burns a hole, it's vinegar. But take some white vinegar or apple cider vinegar.
I have apple cider vinegar in the
Put a
refrigerator.
little bit on a spoon that's either
Tarnished.
tarnished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't care
Silver.
that you don't care about.
Yeah.
See what happens and report back.
why-
Next week.
Okay.
Stay tuned on next week's.
Do you notice he
Torah Study
says that you
Underground.
don't care about, because that's the hint that it might not work.
Well, vinegar is acid.
Yeah, right. I hear you.
Well, at least they had half of the salad dressing. All they needed was the olive oil.
No, but seriously.
I have to put the light on. I can't see. I'm in the dark here.
Okay. All right. So I think we're at number 8. Cynthia.
Trumpets shall be blown by Aaron's son, the priest. They shall be for you an institution for all time throughout the ages. When you are at war in your land against an aggressor who attacks you, you shall sound short blasts on the trumpets, that you may be remembered before the eternal your God and be delivered from your enemies. And on your joyous occasions, your fixed festivals and new moon days, you shall sound the trumpets over your burnt offerings and your sacrifices of well-being. They shall be a reminder of you before your God. I, the Eternal, am your God. In the second year, on the 20th day of the second month, the cloud lifted from the tabernacle of the pact, and the Israelites set out on their journeys from the wilderness of Sinai. The cloud came to rest in the wilderness of Paran. When the march was to begin, at the Eternal's command through Moses, the first standard to set out, troop by troop, was the division of Judah. In command of its troop was Nahshon, son of Amminadab. In command of the tribal troop of Issachar, Nathaniel, son of Zuar, and in command of the tribal troop of Zebulon, Eliab, son of Helon. Then the tabernacle would be taken apart, and the Gershonites and the Merarites who carried the tabernacle would set out. The next standard to set out, troop by troop, was the division of Reuben. In command of its troop was Eleazar, son of Shadur. In command of the tribal troop of Simeon, Shalamuel, son of Zurishaddai, and in the command of the tribal troop of Gad, Eliasaph, son of Duo. When the Kohathites carried the sacred objects would set out, and by the time they arrived, the tabernacle would be set up again. The next standard to set out, troop by troop, was the division of Ephraim. In command of its troop was Elishama, son of Immahud. And in command of the tribal troop of Manasseh, Gabaliel, son of Pedahzur. And in command of the tribal troop of Benjamin, Abidan, son of Gideoni. Then, as the rear guard of all the divisions, the standard of the division of Dan was set out, troop by troop. In command of its troop was Ahiezer, son of the Ammishaddai. And in command of the tribal troop of Asher, Pagiel, son of Ochran. You know, this pronunciation is a challenge to me. I hope I'm doing it correctly.
It's a challenge for everybody. Don't feel bad.
You're doing
Yeah, we're
great,
so happy
Cynthia.
you're doing
You're doing great.
Cynthia, that's why Michael gave it to you.
And in command of the tribal troop of Naphtali, Ahira, son of Enan. Such was the order of march of the Israelites as they marched troop by troop.
By troop.
Moses said to Hobab, son of Reuel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, "We are setting out for the place of which the Eternal One has said, I will give it to you. Come with us, and we will be generous with you, for the Eternal has promised to be generous to Israel." "I will not go," he replied to him, "but will return to my native land." He said, "Please do not leave us, inasmuch as you know where we should camp in the wilderness and can be our guide. So if you come with us, we will extend to you the same bounty that the Eternal grants us." They marched from the mountain of the Eternal a distance of 3 days. The Ark of the Covenant of the Eternal traveled in front of them on that 3 days' journey to seek out a resting place for them. And the Eternal's cloud kept above them by day as they moved on from camp. When the Ark was to set out, Moses would say, "Advance, O Eternal One. May your enemies be scattered, and may your foes flee before you." And when it halted, he would say, "Return, O Eternal One, you who are Israel's myriads of thousands."
When do we say that? Return, right? At the end of Saturday morning? Right, Gary? Kadesh, Kadesh, Yameinu. Isn't that return? Is that return? Is that return to us? No?
I'm not sure.
Yes, Dr. Weiner.
Kadesh.
Yes.
Oh, good.
I had to run out for a second. I'm sorry.
That's all right. There's a cough in this room. It's Alba. Hi, Alba. All right, here we go. So let's move on. 11:1. Cynthia, you want to take a break? Myrna, do you want to start up? Do you want to go
Sure.
for it? Okay, thank you, Cynthia.
The people took to complaining bitterly before the Eternal. The Eternal heard and was incensed. A fire of the Eternal broke out against them, ravaging the outskirts of the camp. The people cried out to Moses. Moses prayed to the Eternal, and the fire died down. That place was named Taberah, because a fire of the Eternal had broken out against them. The riffraff in their midst felt a gluttonous craving, and then the Israelites wept and said, "If only we had meat to eat." We remember the fish that we used to eat free in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. Now our gullets are shriveled. There is nothing at all, nothing but this manna to look to. Now the manna was like coriander seed, and in color it was like bdellium. People would go about and gather it, grind it between millstones or pound it in a mortar, boil it in a pot, and make it into cakes. It tasted like rich cream. When the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna would fall upon it. Moses heard the people weeping, every clan apart at the entrance of each tent. The Eternal was very angry, and Moses was distressed.
Dun, dun, dun,
And-
dun.
Yeah, this is getting dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah. And Moses said to the Eternal, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant? And why have I not enjoyed your favor, that you have laid the burden of all this people upon me? Did I produce all this people? Did I engender them, that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom as a caretaker carries an infant to the land that you have promised on oath to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give to all this people? When they whine before me and say, 'Give us meat to eat,' I cannot carry all this people by myself, for it is too much for me. If you would deal thus with me, kill me rather, I beg you, and let me see no more of my wretchedness." Then the Eternal One said to Moses, "Gather for me 70 of Israel's elders, of whom you have experience as elders and officers of the people, and bring them to the tent of meeting, and let them take their place there with you. I will come down and speak with you there, and I will draw upon the Spirit that is on you and put it upon them. They shall share the burden of the people with you, and you shall not bear it alone. Say to the people, 'Purify yourselves for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat, for you have kept whining before the Eternal.'"
This is amazing. I don't remember seeing this before. So God is actually taking 70 elders and he's going to take Moses' spirit and pour it out. Is that the way I'm reading it? Or
Mike,
on the spirit that is on you and put it upon them?
Okay, Mike.
So he's agreed to share it and not leave all the burden on Moses.
Yeah, so in other words, delegating.
Yeah.
Right.
Moses is delegating to the elders, some of the burdens of managing the place.
Right.
It's
I find it
interesting that-
interesting that they put the burden on the elders. You'd think it would be on younger people, but
No, but then they'd have it too long. This way you can get rid of these.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And moving along. Go for it, Myrna.
They're really obsessed with this meat thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, isn't this one of your favorite parts, Gary, when he talks about
I do.
whale coming out of your nose?
If
Graves of
only we had
craving.
meat to eat. Indeed, here we are again. We were better off in Egypt.
Yeah,
The
go.
Eternal will give you meat, you shall eat. You shall eat not one day, not two, not even 5 days or 10 or 20, but a whole month until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you. For you have rejected the Eternal who is among you by whining before God and saying, "Oh, why did we ever leave Egypt?"
So Myrna, one of the things that from the commentary,
Yeah.
is that the reason why we ended up being in the desert for 40 years is that because everything was complaining, and we say, why don't we go back to Egypt? The whole idea was to let everybody who was born in Egypt
Yeah.
and knew Egypt die before they went into the
Yeah.
promised
Right.
Get it out of
right.
their system.
yeah, right.
Mhm.
It's true.
Feshers.
That's right.
But Moses said, "The people who are with me number 600,000 foot soldiers. Yet you say, I will give them enough meat to eat for a whole month? Could enough flocks and herds be slaughtered to suffice them? Or could all the fish of the sea be gathered for them to suffice them? And the Eternal answered Moses, Is there a limit to the Eternal's power? You shall soon see whether what I have said happens to you or not.
Now, that's very
Without-
interesting. Before you go on, you know what's really interesting? Moses was always telling the people, you know, don't be such a whiner and everything. Don't worry, God will take care of us from here with all the plagues and everything. But yet it's interesting how Moses says to God, oh, how are we going to have enough meat? We don't have enough animals and everything, which I think is very interesting because Moses was always saying to the people, you got to believe in God. And Moses now is kind of whining a little. I just thought that was interesting.
Hey, Ruth, watch what you say. We got Ed Weiner with us.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I say I like mine medium rare? Moses went out, reported the words of the Eternal to the people. He gathered 70 of the people's elders and stationed them around the tent. Then, after coming down in a cloud and speaking to him, the Eternal drew upon the spirit that was on him and put it upon the 70 representative elders. And when the spirit rested upon them, they spoke in ecstasy, but did not continue. 2 of the representatives, one named Eldad and the other Medad, had remained in camp, yet the spirit rested upon them. They were among those recorded, but they had not gone out to the tent. And they spoke in ecstasy in the camp. Ecstasy, this is pretty powerful here. An assistant ran out and told Moses, saying, Eldad and Medad are acting the prophet in the camp. And Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' attendant from his youth, spoke up and said, My Lord Moses, restrain them. But Moses said to him, Are you wrought up on my account? Would that all the Eternal's people were prophets, that the Eternal put the divine spirit upon them? Moses then re-entered the camp together with the elders of Israel. A wind from the Eternal started up, swept quail from the sea, and strewed them over the camp, about a day's journey on this side and about a day's journey on that side, all around the camp, and some 2 cubits deep on the ground. The people set to gathering quail all that day and night and all the next day, and they spread them out all around the camp. The meat was still between their teeth, not yet chewed, when the anger of the Eternal blazed forth against the people, and the Eternal struck the people with a very severe plague. That place was named Kibroth Hatavah, because the people who had the craving, oh my God, were buried there. This is not pleasant at all. Then the people set out from Kibroth Hatavah for Hazeroth.
Can we just hang out here for a second? I just wanted to see what they were talking about with the talking in ecstasy. I don't quite get that.
Yeah.
I wanted to know more about it. I'm just looking at the
And
They
they
were
have a little
enjoying the
opium in
meat.
there?
They were enjoying eating the meat or whatever, probably.
oh, it says right here, it's prophesize. They prophesize, literally spoke in ecstasy.
Yeah, but wait a minute. They couldn't possibly eat all of that stuff that came down at once. Wouldn't it spoil?
Oh, will you stop thinking like a modern person? You have to stop thinking like a modern person.
Well, no, I'm telling you.
They
look at-
could salt it, they
look
could
at Ed.
smoke it.
We had to have something to preserve them.
Oh, good.
They
Don't
could
worry. They know
pickle
what
it.
to do.
Vinegar, right, Dr. Ed?
Back to the vinegar.
Back to the
wine and
vinegar. It's good
Back
for
to the
anything.
vinegar.
It's a miracle cure.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Actually, that apple cider vinegar is what they're pushing these days.
Okay.
All right, Myrna. Thank you, Myrna.
You're most welcome.
Let me see. How about Braca? Do you want to go to the next part here?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
When they were at Hazeroth, Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman he had married. he married a Cushite woman. They said, has the Eternal spoken only through Moses? Has God not spoken through us as well? The Eternal heard it. Now, God's envoy Moses was very humble, more so than any other human being on earth. Suddenly, the Eternal One called to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, come out, you three, to the tent of meeting. So the three of them went out. The Eternal came down in a pillar of cloud, stopped at the entrance of the tent, and called out, Aaron and Miriam. The two of them came forward, and God said, hear these my words. When prophets of the Eternal arise among you, I make myself known to them in a vision. I speak with them in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. He is trusted throughout my household. With him I speak mouth to mouth, plainly and not in riddles, and he beholds the likeness of the Eternal. How then did you not shrink from speaking against my servant Moses? Still incensed with them, the Eternal departed.
Interesting. That's good.
Oh, wow. Isn't
As the
this where they
cloud
find,
withdrew from the tent, there was Miriam stricken with snow white scales. Wait, I lost it. It's not on
Okay.
the screen. Oh,
Okay.
as the cloud withdrew from the tent, there was Miriam stricken with snow white scales. When Aaron turned toward Miriam, he saw that she was stricken with scales. And Aaron said to Moses, oh my Lord, account not to us the sin which we committed in our folly. Let her not be as a stillbirth, which emerges from its mother's womb with half its flesh eaten away. So Moses cried out to the Eternal, saying, oh God, pray heal her. But the Eternal One said to Moses, if her father spat in her face, would she not bear her shame for 7 days? Let her be shut out of camp for 7 days, and then let her be readmitted. So Miriam was shut out of camp 7 days, and the people did not march on until Miriam was readmitted. After that, the people set out from Hazeroth and encamped in the wilderness of Paran.
Did they explain why Miriam had scales? I mean, did she do something that she got
Yes,
scales?
Lashon Hara.
well, weren't
she
they,
did.
they were the
Oh.
ones that were against the Cushite woman.
Oh, I see. Oh, misunderstood. Okay, Miriam.
They
Oh, yeah. Okay.
spoke.
Oh,
She
yeah.
spoke.
Oh, yeah. It was Lashon Hara. You're right. Okay,
So
Right.
they were
I
being
forgot.
punished for it.
I forgot about that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I forgot.
And it was almost immediate, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was very immediate, right?
Do you want to read that part down here, Bracha, on 12?
Wait.
This is the commentary about the same.
Cushite woman.
Yeah.
The reference seems to be to a Sudanese wife he had taken in addition to the Midianite Zipporah. Whether the marriage itself gave rise to talk is not clear, but in any case, the gossip is only the pretext for the real issue, namely Moses' prophetic standing. Some, like Ibn Ezra, believe that Cushite woman refers to Zipporah. Cross sees in the accusation a slur on the standing of the Moses priesthood, which flourished as Shiloh and Dan, while the Aaronites were centered at Bethel and Jerusalem.
Mm.
Only through Moses. This is the crux of the sibling rebellion. Like Aaron, Miriam too wants to expand her prophetic status.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it had there's a couple, so two things at least were going on there, right? That Miriam and Aaron were kind of, well, Miriam was jealous of Moses's prophetic position, I suppose.
Well,
And
well,
also, they were complaining about the Cushite, so they were kind of being gossipy, is what they were.
okay, well, they from
They were being nasty.
okay,
Yeah.
from the reading, I think that we can take at least two things, maybe three. Number one is that they complain about the Cushite woman.
Yeah.
But second, they also said to Aaron, said, "Are you the only one that God talks to? God talks
Yeah, right.
to you."
Moses.
Yeah,
Moses.
they said to Moses, "Are you the only one that God talks to? God talks to us too. So why are you such a
Yes.
big deal?
Mhm.
You know, why are you the only one giving orders around here? We should partake on it too." That's the way I take it.
Yeah, but
I
then
got
God
the
explained
impression-
that the other people get it through a dream, but Moses gets it mouth to mouth.
Yeah, and you know, mouth to mouth is the Hebrew way of saying face to face.
Yeah, right, face to face.
Well, he actually says that God spoke directly to Moses rather than the others. He trusted him.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
somebody else would get dreams, and then, but God said to them, with Moses, I speak to them directly. Don't you understand why
Yeah,
he's superior to you as far as giving orders? Because he's getting it directly from me.
right.
And the other thing,
You
I
know-
go ahead.
Wouldn't you think they'd be ashamed to fetch like that when God's been good to them?
That's human beings. You keep on thinking everybody's going to be perfect all the time. I mean, we're
No,
human
I'm not
beings.
saying that. I'm just saying that they should be ashamed of themselves because
There's
they.
no shoulds or woulds or quitter in life.
Well,
Bruce, I'm not going to get into an argument with you.
No, they didn't. They didn't have any. They didn't have any entertainment either. So they had probably a lot of time to get on each other's nerves.
Yeah,
No
if I
company.
lived then, I would be a bitch.
No comment.
I'm speaking directly to God.
That's right. And notice how they said how they described Moses right in here.
Right.
Right after they said that, it was now God's envoy Moses was very humble, more so than any other human being on earth. Wow. As much as Moses was amazing and incredible, he's also incredibly humble. I mean, what a character, what a trait to have as this huge, beautiful leader.
The medical controversy, if you remember when we talked about it, is that a lot of people say that this is leprosy or it is translated as leprosy.
Mhm.
Okay, number one is now we can cure leprosy. But back in those days, if you had leprosy, it was incurable.
Mhm.
However, Miriam, whatever she got, could not have been leprosy because within 7 days she got cured.
Mhm.
Psoriasis.
It was we
It could
believe
have been anything. Right?
we believe it was,
Poison ivy.
it was the heartbreak of psoriasis. And Michael, if you don't mind making me co-host, let me show you. I think we showed it before.
Mhm.
Let me show you what leprosy actually looks like.
Oy.
Oh boy.
I
Here
think
we
we
go.
saw this before, but I don't think.
We saw it before.
Wait a minute. When I was in high school, I passed out completely while we were reading the symptoms of leprosy. Should I leave now?
No,
This is a very
Shut
good
your
time.
eyes.
Very good time.
I did because they were reading the symptoms of old age.
Oy.
Should I leave now? I'm there now.
No.
Hey,
I
no,
knew
it's
it.
all a matter of your mind.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Who's showing us leprosy? Oh,
Oh boy. Oh. Ugh.
but wait a
That
minute. There's
is
supposed to be
leprosy.
white patches. Those aren't white.
Well, as always, a wonderful evening. Thank you, one and all, for your good humor and
I
knowledge.
like the touches of medicine.
Yeah, it's great to have these.